This
Welcome
conference
back.
will now be recorded.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, and welcome back. And today we'll just start off from the point where we left yesterday. That is, we were trying to understand what are the people and how do we manage people.
Okay, before you're going to write, sir, yesterday class,
Start off with
right?
some practical.
The Excel sheet, can you give me 2 minutes on the Excel sheet? Because I try to upload it through errors and we don't have the recording also. So can you show me one more time slowly and we can note it down and we'll try.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just quickly share my screen. Let me know once it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Okay. Okay, so the Excel stuff, right? So yesterday what we did was that we wanted to import users using not just manually, but using the CSV file. So the only requirement which we have is that it should be a CSV file. It should not be an Excel file because like they both are different formats. So if you want the users to be imported from a CSV file, you just have to go to more actions over here on the people tab, and once you go over there you have to import users from CSV. And then like you might not be having the template because you don't know how to exactly upload it, so that's why I had asked you to just go ahead and download the template. So once you go ahead and download the template, you can just open the template in the CSV format itself, and over here you can just give the name and whatever values, like the from row number 2 in the Excel on the CSV file, the number, like every employee will have its own row entry over here, and like what's the number you want to add using CSV, you can just add it and then upload the file back over here, and it will just import it.
Oh, question here is, sir, login, right? I gave the name, some login name, or I gave the email ID. It didn't take it, showing login is not correct format.
Okay, I'm not sure what did you give, but it has to be in the email format. That's what it requires. That's it, like nothing else. Like if you're trying to give login as like test for my user or anything, but it has to be in the username. I mean, login and username are generally the same, or login or email. So they both needs to be in the email format. They can be different emails, like one Gmail, one your work email, but they have to be in email. Like if it is not an email, then it will not accept it.
So login name and user like first name and last name and email ID. Those four are mandatory, right, sir?
Right.
Okay. And you mentioned that in the last class, like some more like a department ID or kind of things, right? Last two columns we need. You filled on that, right?
Yeah, what I was
Other
trying to
than
make.
four, you filled some more columns, I think.
Right, yeah. So
Depart.
what happens here, no? Like for example, if I go to any user here in Okta and if I go to the profile section, so like I just added these four while creating the user because like some information is required while creating. Now it's not necessary that I have to enter all the information, but by default Okta is having around 31 attributes. So if you have the information about other attributes, if you have the attribute values for this user, for all other attributes, like you like Swamini has a middle name, title is there, display name is there, nickname is there, you can just keep on adding it manually or through a CSV. So that is like something, because we are doing it like in just for the dummy purpose, so we didn't enter. But like when someone joins an organization, they do ask, right, like what is your, like you have a title or the designation at which you are joining, they do ask you what is your middle name, what is your nickname, if you have any preferred name, so stuff like that, like so if they have all the values, so they just enter all the values over here and accordingly. And if they have a value, I mean if they have an attribute which does not exist in the default attribute of Okta, then you need to create an attribute in Okta and then accordingly map it from the CSV. So if there is a custom attribute already created here in Okta, in that scenario, while you are downloading the template of the CSV, automatically you'll see that, in that template, there would be that custom attribute already popping up.
So if you now we have like 7 or 8 users, right, sir, in our OKTA. So I
Yeah.
downloaded a template, right? So it didn't have all the anything, right? It's an empty template, right?
Sorry, what
No,
did it?
you mentioned that if you are already user in OKTA, that already you should have in the Excel sheet, right? So that's what you're saying. Sorry for
No, no,
I'm
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if in case I'm talking about an attribute, see, these are all attributes. This first name,
okay.
login, middle name, email, display name, these are all attributes of a user. So now, what is an attribute? An attribute is something which defines the information about, which gives you the information about the user. So there has to be a label to each of the value or the information, right? Like what is your first name and last name is something which is associated to you, right? So these are all attributes. So that's what I'm saying. Like if in case you have any custom attribute, like by default, Okta is having 31 default attributes, but like some organizations they require that they require some more information which does not get covered under these 31 attributes. Like for example, there is an attribute called cost center. Okay, if they have a cost center, maybe they want to have like BU, like something like that, maybe BU as an attribute. So I am sure they won't have the BU. So they can just like add that custom attribute here in Okta. And when they will download the template, they will see custom attribute BU over here automatically filled. I mean, not filled, like automatically popping up over here. Then you can give an attribute value to any of the user. But right now, I don't have a BU attribute created. And if I go ahead and like, type a BU attribute and save it and then try to upload, it will give me an parsing error saying that you don't have this attribute in Okta. How come you are, asking me to create a user with this set of value? So that's what it is.
Okay, sir. And one more question, last question I have is like, okay, if already user is having in Okta, right? So I fill the same data in the Excel and just try to upload it. So it will override anything like if I give any additional information on that user, or it won't do anything because it's a duplicate, right?
Right. It will do a delta import. Delta import means like whatever new changes have been done, it will just add it, and whatever old things are there, it will just keep it there. So if you want to add a new attribute or stuff like that, so you need to make sure that just add the value, import it again, and it will just overwrite it. I mean, it will just include it in that detail of the user.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else, guys, before we start off?
Can you just brief on group
Sorry, what do we on?
on group? Means after
Oh,
people you describe about group.
right, right. Okay, sure. So basically, we have to start our discussion today with groups only. So maybe we can just start from the beginning itself. No worries on that, and then we can take it forward. So anything else apart from before we start off with the groups, or we can start off with groups now?
I
Okay,
think we can
perfect.
start.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, guys. So, like, talking about groups, we did cover something on the groups yesterday. So, I would just like to reiterate why do we create groups here in Okta? The concept of groups, the concept of creating groups here in Okta is to, simplify the process or to increase the efficiency. The reason being because there would be many scenarios, as I discussed yesterday, that, if I go to groups, like if I go to this particular group, right, and so I get to see like what all people are assigned to this group, then what all applications are associated with this group, then like, and if in case like there are certain directories, let's not talk about directories right now, but let's try to focus on the people and the application part. So yesterday what I did mention was like one of the use cases why we require groups is because Okta is more of like an access management tool. It's not on the identity management. It do support identity management, but not drastically, I would say, like SailPoint or Savient. these are other IAM tools which support. So what happens is like there could be scenarios in case of provisioning. Now I did mention this provisioning term. Provisioning is like creation of anything. Like it could be a user, it could be your account, it could be an application, anything. Provisioning is just, you know, understand that there would be something created in the system of identity and access management. And over here in our scenario, in Okta or in application or in directory. So that's how you can, you know, keep it. Like all of these things come under identity and access management system. That's why I use the word IAM system. Okay, so what I was saying is that application in the applications, you might be having a requirement that, you know, you have a different set of screen for the admin user, you have a different set of screen for the normal user. Now, like, you know, what application team wants is that, hey guys, like they will come to Okta developers and they will say, hey guys, please help me with the group names to which the users belong in your Okta, so that, you know, we can justify at our end, like this is coming from admin group, this is coming from normal group, and accordingly we can redirect that user to the correct page, to the correct login page. So that's what, like, one of the use case of Okta is, because Okta directly cannot you know, assign roles or permissions here in its environment. So this is like, you know, kind of a workaround which Okta helps with the which Okta achieves with the concept of groups. Okay, so apart from that, you know, another concept of groups is like, because it helps us to easily identify, like, you know, you can just go ahead and create your own groups. So now you might be having so many teams within an organization, right? There would be an IT team, there would be a maybe sales team, marketing team, cyber security team. So you need to segregate people according to their to their department, right? So you can just go ahead and, you know, create different groups, and accordingly, you know, you can, if you want to see people, okay, or maybe, you know, location wise, you have New York location group, maybe Seattle. If you have five offices at five different locations, so you can just create a group for each of the location over here, and accordingly, you know, put in people. And whenever, like, you know, you want to send a bulk communication, or, you know, you want to do like there comes a scenario where, like, you know, there requires a certain thing to be done only for a particular office location. In those scenarios, groups, you know, will help us to achieve all of those. We don't have to manually go to, you know, individual. Yesterday I did mention one thing that, you know, it might seem that, you know, why are we working with groups? Like, you know, it's just about 8 to 10 identities we can work, but we are just, you know, working as a demo over here. It's not like the real-time project what we are doing on this class, right? So in case of real-time scenarios wherein you'll be working with projects, you'll be having maybe 15,000 identities, 20,000, 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh. In those scenarios, you need to, you know, manage these things efficiently. Like, even if one employee is not being managed properly, things can get escalated. Like, you know, things can become very difficult during that time period. So we need to maintain it for all, like, you know, all the number of employees we have in the organization. So in those scenarios, you know, we need to make sure that we are efficient with everything, and that's why Okta came up with these with the concept of groups. So let's see, you know, different types of groups what we have. We have native Okta groups, LDAP groups, and application groups. So, like, you know, basically to just segregate them, we have like as I mentioned yesterday, you have Okta groups. So Okta groups is something being recognized with this Okta symbol. So if you see any Okta symbol over here in the groups, that means that's an Okta group. If in case you have an AD group, now, like, you know, there could be directory group also. Directory group means the group was created in directory. It could be your Active Directory or LDAP directory. See, this group was created in Okta because I am going in and I am creating a group in here in Okta. In the other scenario, which is the group created in Active Directory or LDAP directory, the group is created in the Active Directory or LDAP directory only. The group is not created in Okta. So then how come that group has come into Okta? We do import, right? So like users were also created in Excel, but how come they went into the Okta using CSV file? So that's how, like, you know, once we do the directory integrations over here, so in that scenario, whatever you have on the on the directory, you can just bring it to Okta also. So that's what integrations are all about, right? So yeah, I mean, if in case you have an Active Directory group, it looks something like this, a Windows symbol. Like your LDAP directory also would look something. It's not exactly this, but like some other symbol to signify, okay, it's an LDAP directory group. And then your application group will be having the symbols of the application. So for example, like yeah, you might be using Google Suite groups, maybe Google groups, okay. So in those scenarios, you can see that there would be a Google symbol or a Microsoft symbols to understand what are these, like what type of group it is, whether it's an Okta group, it's a uh, directory group, or a application group.
So
Now,
I have
yeah,
a question.
yeah,
So all Active Directory group will have that four square icon, or that?
correct, correct,
Okay.
yeah. Every because Active Directory is like it's like when we talk about Okta, right? It's exactly like Okta, not like in terms of functionality or features. I'm talking like, see, you can use your own Okta, I can use my own Okta, and hundred thousands of organizations are using their own Okta. But who is governing all of this is like the Okta team, the Okta team who has actually created this product. So same goes for Microsoft Active Directory also. It's the Microsoft who is governing, or who is owning this product, and they have different tenants to which they are just selling it. So like whosoever has the tenant, but at the end of the day, it's a Microsoft product. So no one can say, okay, I'll put my own symbol, because it's not our product. Like Okta is not our product, although we'll become Okta professionals, we'll be working with Okta, but still we do not own this product, right? We haven't developed this product, we are working with this product. So in those scenarios, like this is something like a symbol or an icon which is unique, created by the Microsoft itself or the Okta. So if Microsoft chooses to change the symbol, then only you'll see the changes here in Okta, but apart from that, no.
Okay, I ask question because the applications like this is MS Office,
Hmm.
uh, means we can recognize it. It's G means it's a Google. So like that, if I have to identify, is that a directory group or application group? So that's why I ask.
Okay, okay, yeah. I mean, it's 100% of the times you'll see this kind of a symbol coming up for the ED group, not for the LDAP group. For LDAP also there is kind of a directory structure group. I do not have it available with me right now, but like but it, like you'll understand that also, like
Yeah. Okay.
that also does not change. Like it's something like not this, but like another symbol, and that just makes you identify that whether it's a LDAP group or a ED group. That's the only difference, but both are under directory.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so talking about the group features what we have in Okta. So yeah, this is very important thing what we need to understand, because now we have understood three different types of group here in Okta. So like did mention that over here in Okta, because when we go in here, right, so these are all the functionalities I am able to see. The Okta, this is like the old UI of the Okta, so you might not be able to exactly see the same way, but like functionality wise it's still the same. Like if you want to manage people, that means if you want to assign people, if you want to manage the directories, and you have the directory tabs over here and stuff like that. So what I was trying to say is like yeah, so you can only assign people to the Okta groups. It's not possible that you have an Active Directory group here in Okta and you can just go ahead and assign people to the AD group. That's not allowed actually, because the reason being that that group is the birth how that group took place in Active Directory, or for the application, that group, that birth got place in the application itself. So now if you want to add people or remove people from the group, you need to have a connection with the application, and you need to request with that application or directory to make these changes. You cannot do directly from the application, because from Okta, I mean, the reason being, Because if you do it, then there could be a lot of issues in synchronization, because you as an Okta developer, you did not know that this person wasn't required in this group. You just went in and you just removed it in the and now the thing is, like, if it would have been Active Directory group, AD team might be working with this group for some other stuff, for maybe adding some birthright, or doing some other stuff, some other operations. And if the synchronization would not have happened during that time, like when I say synchronization, which I means, like, whatever data we have in Okta coming from Active Directory or from the application, they should be same. Like, if in Active Directory we are having 5 groups and we want all 5 groups data here in Okta, so then those 5 groups data should be exactly same. It should not be that, okay, those 5 groups have have something some other name in the morning, they got changed in the evening, and now in Okta we are having those same 5 old names what we had in the morning. So that's not how it works. They always work in synchronization, and to do those synchronization, we have some manual imports as well as in these scheduled imports, which actually in every 6 hours during the day, whatever changes has been done in the Active Directory, it just fetches those changes and make the same changes here in Okta. So what I'm saying is, like, if you just go into the group and remove people directly or add people directly, those changes will take time on the AD side to be reflected. Now, in because this group was originally created in AD, so AD should have the first right to make the changes, and then those changes should be reflected or implicated in Okta. So it should not be the other way, and hence we do not have the permissions to manage or add people uh, in apart from Okta groups. And also, like, we cannot go ahead and delete the groups in Okta apart from Okta groups. So, and the reason is quite simple. The only reason being because, like, because you are getting that data, right? So even if you would have that feature to delete the group in Okta, what would you have done? You would have deleted the, suppose you had an AD group, you just went in and deleted it. What? Okay, you deleted it, and every single in the next thing, like whenever that synchronization will happen, that import will happen, it will say, okay, AD, you have 5 groups, Okta has 4 groups, just come in. So again that group will come again, no, because AD doesn't know, AD is not AD or Okta, no one is not that one is not that much intelligent. Okay, Okta deleted a group in the morning, so I don't have to redirect, I mean, I don't have to pull it again in Okta. So it will see, okay, this is the difference, like they need to be in synchronization. Active Directory has 5 groups, Okta has only 4. Come, I'll just bring that group from AD to Okta. So again, Okta will have 5 groups. So what's the point of deleting the group from Okta? So if in case you want to delete a group from Okta, I mean, it's not about deleting a group in Okta. It's about you don't require that group in Okta. So in the directory integrations, there is a tab wherein you can just remove it from the synchronization itself. You cannot delete. I mean, that group will never be deleted, nor in Active Directory, not in Okta. I mean, AD people can do it. AD team can delete it, disable it, whatever they want, they can do it. But if you don't want it, that group here in Okta, you can just make sure that during that synchronization is happening, that part is not coming to Okta. That root structure we are not just including here in Okta. So that is the only way to avoid it. But that doesn't mean that we are deleting it. We are just ignoring it. We are not taking that group in Okta. Like, out of 5, I require only 3. Okay, I just don't want the other 2 groups to be ever synchronized. That's fine. Like, then it won't send. But if all 5 groups are going to be synchronized, then there is no concept of deleting here in Okta. So that's how it is.
So suppose client has 5 groups and Okta has only 4 groups, so it automatically add one more group in Okta, like if they add it while synchronization.
Yes, if in case that the synchronization is set up in such a way that it should also include all 5 groups here in Okta. If in case it doesn't, then only 4 will remain. But if the synchronization concept here is set up in such a way that no, like whatever you have in the application, you need to have it in Okta, then yes, definitely it will just import everything.
Okay. Suppose, for example, the user deleted one group, and suppose Okta has 5 groups and the user is sending only 4 groups. So that other group automatically it will taken away, or from Okta, or how we should
Yes,
see?
if a group is deleted from Active Directory, it will be deleted from Okta also. It will just go away.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And that's the concept of groups is all about. That's actually a very good question, to be honest, because the thing is like over here, no, Okta is actually not hosting these groups. The question which you asked, no, if it would have been the other way, like if in case like we had five groups on both the side, now a group was deleted on the application side. What happens in Okta? So we need to understand that Okta is not storing the groups in Okta. That's why they are not Okta groups. These are all being stored on Okta Cloud. They are all being, somewhere stored on the Okta Cloud. But the Active Directory groups or LDAP groups or the application groups, they are not being stored on the cloud. They do not have any kind of a storage. There is always a link which is allowing you to see it on your UI. They are always being fetched from the application or the directory, whichever is integrated. So that's why if something goes down in that, like Okta says, okay, I don't care. I don't have it hosted on my system. I mean on my cloud. So why do I need to care? You need to care, take care. If you delete it from your end, I shouldn't be showing it at mine because you were the one who was hosting that group. So that's how it goes, yeah.
So, like only Okta groups only stored in our Okta, and other than that, everything we are just have a links. So,
Yes,
Windows or Google, whatever, we have only just links.
yes,
So,
yes.
where
That's why
we once you click here, it will go to the application and see, and
yeah.
it will store that way, right, sir?
Correct.
Okay.
So, see, the link what we have, no, that is like to just to make it a little bit technical. That link we say it as integration here in Okta, like be it a directory integration or an application integration. Now that integration, what is in integration? It's a configuration setting, no, between two different identities of the parties. So, like Okta is getting integrated with an application or an directory. So we are just storing the configuration. Those configurations are being hosted on the Okta cloud. So that is not something. So that linking or the integration is hosted on the Okta cloud, but like the data or stuff of that particular directory or application is not hosted on the Okta cloud. It's basically hosted on the application of the directory itself, and it's kind of just fetching the data from the application on the directory based on the requirement. Okay, then talking about Okta Group, so as I did mention that we have an Okta Cloud and these are our systems. So if I do HTTPS, that is like a secure request on the browser to Okta, and I can have different groups which includes marketing, sales, and engineering. And then, so with the help of these groups, I can just, go ahead and do a SAML or a secure web authentication with any of the application. So what will happen is like, currently we were just assigning people to the application, right? Whenever we did a secure, I mean, a SAML integration or a SW integration, what we did was that we went into the application and we manually assigned the people to the application. So now in these scenarios, what we can do is like we can just create Okta groups, like according to the domains of the departments, different departments we have, and accordingly, segregate them and just assign them to the respective applications. Then in the case of directory groups, you have like just try to understand the difference. Like over here, there is no firewall concept. You just are under the cloud. But over here in the directory groups, there is a firewall as well. Then you have the cloud. Now, firewall is something I'm not sure if you guys know or not. It's a network security term. Currently, we are in the identity and access management security. So, but a firewall is something you can say that which actually, just filters the traffic. So, if in case any one of you is working with an organization, so over there you might be having a VPN, right? So that also kind of like restricts the traffic, that everyone cannot do everything on the system, right? So firewall acts something like that. It kind of acts as a wall, like just standing in front of your actual system, saying that you need to pass me and then get into. So it's kind of just add a layer to, layer of security. So that's what in the directory groups we have. Again, you are have the browsers. You do a HTTPS request to Okta. Then Okta is having a link with the Active Directory or the LDAP directory using an AD agent. This is that agent I'm talking about is hosted in the cloud. So like you just have an integration with Okta. Now these integration with Okta, I mean sorry, with Active Directory, and Active Directory is having multiple groups like marketing, sales, engineering. Now these AD groups are being moved to Okta, like because there is a link between Okta and the AD groups. So that link, what we have is these AD groups are hosted on their environment. It's not something. That's why we have the concept of firewall over here. So they are being hosted on their own environment, and these AD groups are being used to just display it in Okta. And accordingly, if you do a SAML or a secure web authentication or an OIDC one, you can just directly use them without having to store these groups manually on the Okta cloud. And same goes for the application groups as well. So if in case like this is just an example to show you guys that it's an application which is having the like a G Suite group. So okay, sorry. If in case you just go into the group, right? So you can just manage the apps. Nothing apart from that. You don't have the option to create, assign a user or do or delete this group or anything like that. So that's all what we have on the Okta groups, directory groups, and the application groups. Let's just quickly see the differences and then we'll move ahead to the lab part today. So Okta groups, we have already seen that they are created and they are being managed within Okta. Okta groups, whereas the directory groups, they are created and membership is managed in the directory service. Like, so if it's an Active Directory, so it's created within Active Directory and it is being managed by AD only. Same goes for the LDAP and same goes for the application as well. And the members of the Okta group can be Okta directory or application mastered users. Uh, um, Whereas in the directory, only directory, just a second. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the second point what we have. No, that is important. Try to understand this thing. So in Okta groups now, so in Okta groups you can have different members. That could be an Okta group, it could be your directory people, or it could be your application users. All three different, like your Okta directory and application users can be part of the Okta group. Whereas in directory group, only directory mastered users can be part of that group. You cannot bring in or add a person, or make sure that if an application use I mean if a user is created in Okta, you cannot put into an AD group. And the reason is very simple, what we have discussed before, because we do not have the permissions to add or delete users within the directory or application groups. So that's why only directory mastered users can be members of directory groups. And for application also, only members of the application groups are pulled into Okta during application creation. So they cannot be and this is like very good interview question, as well as if you guys would be given Okta professional certification exam. So this is being asked many times, that you have a use case uh, wherein you have to just to make sure that that your application that yeah sorry you need to make sure that your application is having that an Okta group is having all three can contain all three users, which is your Okta directory and application group. But whereas in directory and application, they can only consist of their users. Like the directory cannot have application users or the Okta users, and application cannot have the Okta users and the directory users. But only Okta group is the one wherein you can have all three users. Directory
Can
groups
you
are
show
common.
me one example, sir? Like, so we never created any directory groups, sir, right? We created apps and we created people. Then we created a group and we add people and apps, right? So what is this directories group?
See, directory group can only be showed once we have this directory integration here in Okta. I mean, this is something like within, like we need to have a directory integration completed for that, because See, these, like we said, no, like we discussed before, that these are the groups coming from the directory itself. These are not the groups created here in Okta. So for that, like we need to have an integration with a particular directory with which we can see that, okay, these are the groups coming from the directory, which is integrated with Okta. So then only we can see. Even we haven't seen the application groups till now. Like we have integrated applications. There is no concept of application groups we did in Okta. The reason being because we do not have any admin permissions for any particular application. So that's why we cannot see this thing. Application group comes in like when you are actually like, so see, that day we did a Salesforce integration. When we did that Salesforce integration, that was like we were not Salesforce admin over there. We are just normal end users on the Salesforce account. And what we were trying to do was secure web authentication, not even a SAML integration. So like in federation protocols, you need to be the admin of that application. You cannot directly, do it. So we did a SAML integration with a dummy app, like where we just uploaded and copied the metadata. But in case of secure web authentication, nothing is required to be done on the application side, and hence we were able to do it with Salesforce. We can do it with any other app like PagerDuty or any other. But to show you guys that okay, we are able to manually bring in the groups of application to Okta, I need to be like an admin for any particular application to which I am integrating with Okta. So that's why it's not possible to show the directory or the application groups here in Okta, but in real time scenarios, because there would be different teams working with the Okta team, right? So like you are part of an Okta team, there would be different teams working with the Okta team. At that point of time, you would still not be an admin for any application on a directory, but you would have that team available who is the admin of the directory or the. So there would be meetings wherein you'll be just doing all of this stuff, and at that point of time you can see that uh, you have a directory group and an application, and that's the reason why I have included these screenshots over here. The reason being because it's not possible for us to create, I mean, because we are not creating these groups in Okta, we are just importing these groups from the application or the directory. Okay, so
Can you explain me the second point? Right, so the members of the Okta groups can be Okta directory or application and mastered users.
okay,
So
so
you should be
mhm,
a Okta user, or you should be, you cannot club it, right? That's what you're saying.
correct. So see, we have three types of users. Okay, three types of users we have, and out of which one is like your users created in Okta. We call them Okta mastered users. Then the second type is users coming from directory. Coming means they are being imported from the directory. And then the third one is users users created in the application. They are not created in Okta. In the application, I mean the third party, like it could be a Salesforce or maybe Google Suite somewhere. Okay, so we have three types of users, and same way you have three types of groups. So over here, if I just want to, so these are like your groups you created in Okta, groups coming from directory, and again groups created in or coming from the application. Okay. Now what happens is that you for this group you can have all these three types of users. You can just add all of them. But for second, you can just add these type of users. For third, you can only add these type of users. The reason being because if you're creating a group in Okta, so now what happens is like when these users are coming inside Okta, they are becoming users in Okta. They are getting stored in Okta Universal Directory. Users are getting stored, be it coming from Okta directory or application. They are getting stored in Okta. So now if you have a user available in your universal directory, you can create a group in Okta, right? Which will just allow you to assign people, because in Okta, if you go to the groups, you have that possibility to add people. Like if I go to a particular group, right, I have that liberty to assign people. And from where am I getting that liberty, right? So this is something I am able to get from the universal directory. Now whenever this thing happened, whenever these things happen, they get stored in universal directory. They get stored in universal directory. So that is the reason, once they are getting stored in universal directory, you have them available with you. You have them available. They are not getting these groups, they are not getting stored in universal directory. They are creating a link, and that's why you are able to view them, right? So that is the reason groups created in Okta, you can see all three. But groups coming from directory, you can only have users coming from the directory, and for groups coming from applications, you can only have users which are created in application. So that's how it is. Like, was I able to answer your doubt?
So we can say that the groups are just a link between all these users.
Sorry, there was some issue, background noise for me. Can you please repeat?
Uh, uh, can you just go back from your notepad?
Yeah.
So means the groups can be a means just a link between the users. So means the groups will represent only the just as a graphical interpretation
Okay,
of the
yeah, yeah.
users.
So, yeah, exactly. Like, so groups created in directory, they are like, it's not just a graphical representation because the complete configuration is being stored on the Okta cloud itself. So, but yeah, I mean that you can say that it's not getting stored on your universal directory, like the groups coming
Yeah.
from AD or from the
Means
application. So kind of there is a link which allows you to see them on Okta, but you don't have the permissions to edit or create or add them or delete them, stuff like that.
yeah.
So that's
Means
the reason.
if
Mhm.
hmm, means if any changes done in the directory or application, it will reflect.
Correct,
Uh,
that will be reflected.
hmm,
Post the synchronization, that will not be reflected immediately. You need to go into Okta, and over here in Okta there is a concept of import. So this is your import monitoring. So currently we don't have anything because we don't have any directory integrated over here. Hence we don't have anything to import. But if in case you guys have anything to import, at that point of time it will show you that okay, what is the monitoring and when you can do it. And at that point of time you can either schedule the import monitoring or you can do it manually also. So once the import monitoring is done, any changes done on the AD side, LDAP side, application side, that will be reflected in Okta. But like like it's not on the go change, like spontaneous change, like you make a change right now, it will be reflected. That can only be done if it's like you just went into Okta, did a manual import, and so then and there. But automatically without doing any stuff in Okta, it won't reflect. Like even if you create an integration and you made some changes in your application, in your AD, and you are expecting that okay, it will be reflected within Okta within seconds, that won't happen. You have to either create a manual import or a sync or a schedule import, and then it will happen on its own. Okay, was that clear?
yes.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I mean apart from that, this the last point does say exactly the same thing what we discussed some time back, that if there is some activated sorry, if there is some directory group deactivated or deleted already, those groups will no longer be active in Okta. The reason being they're not being stored in Okta, so that will just go away. And that applies for the users also. Any user coming in from the Active Directory doesn't mean that that user directly it's itself getting deleted from Active Directory, it will be gone from Okta also. But in the case of users, it's more of like that, in case of users also, I don't know if you remember or not, but I did mention this thing that any user coming in from the Active Directory, you don't have the permissions to edit their profile. Like currently, this is the user created in Okta. So when I go in, I see this edit button. But if it would have been a user coming from the Active Directory or the application or the LDAP directory, it would not have this edit button enabled, because these profile settings can only be configured on the owner or the source, like from where this group or from where this user is coming from. And hence, like and same applies for the group also, like there are certain things who is owning this? Like, the group is being owned by AD or the so application, or the user is being owned by the AD or the application. So they only have that permissions to, make changes to the profile or to the group settings. But apart from that, that's how it is. Like once you go ahead and delete anything over here in the directory, it will be just going away from the Okta itself. And same goes for the application also. Okay, so that's all what we had for the people and group, and like theoretically we have covered everything, but I just want to go ahead and start off with the lab session today. Although like we just have 10-20 minutes left, but I think like we can start off and we can just continue with that tomorrow. Next thing now, now we are going to see the most important things in the lab, and that would be using API Okta APIs to do stuff here in Okta. So this is going to be interesting and a little bit fascinating as well. So just try to follow me, interrupt wherever you feel you are not able to follow me, or you are not getting the concept, and we can do it then and there. And also it will be great if you can guys can start doing the lab with me right now. So first thing, we'll be creating a single user, like we have done it using this mat person button. We have done it using CSV. Now we are going to do it using Okta API. Okay, so before we jump onto the Okta API, I did mention about Postman yesterday. So if you just go into the Postman API, it's nothing to download. I mean, if you have it, good. If you don't have it, you can use the web version. We don't have to understand what Postman is, but like just to give you an overview, it allows you to programmatically access data stored in Postman account with ease. So basically, I'm not sure like if in case you guys know about HTTP operations, but there are 4 different types of HTTP operations we have. Okay, so just it's not something related to Okta, to be honest, but this is like a general stuff. But I'm telling you because this is required for you to understand the API stuff. So there is an HTTP operation which we say CRUD operations. Okay, this is like create, read, update, and delete. Okay, now what now under HTTP operations you have post, you have get, you have put, you have delete, you have patch also, but for the time being just think about these 4. Okay, now for for to do a CRUD operations are being done for API. Okay, this is being done for API. As I mentioned before, you don't need to understand what is an API. If you know, very good. If you don't know, just think of it like a data source. I mean, if in case like you go to a restaurant, right? So maybe you are sitting on a table and there are people cooking food. So you become that, and then there are waiters who are serving you that food, right? So you are the front end, like who is coming and sitting on in the restaurant. There are back-end developers, like there is a back-end who is actually cooking the food, and then there are waiters who is actually delivering the food or taking your order, going back to the cook or chef, and making them understand what do they have to do. Now these waiters know, or the people who are communicating from one place to another, they are APIs. Okay, so maybe if you use a phone bank a bank transaction, you want to see your balance, so your front end over there is your application of the bank. Now you say, okay, I want to view balance. You entered your UPI pin, your pin, and you were able to get to see your balance. Now how did it happen? So there would have been a backend API which would have gone to the backend database where your balance is stored. It would have read, okay, this is the data, this is the balance you have, come back again with the balance value and showed it to you on the screen. So that's how, like, this all of this data fetch, and if you want to add data, delete data, do some operations with data, it can be done using API. And on cloud,
It's
90% of
like
the
a request and response.
yes, kind of, you can say that. Request and response is something, not exactly, because like that is being done somewhat in the XML, but that's also an API. Like you have two different kinds of API. One is the REST API and the other is the SOAP API. So that request and response concept comes under SOAP APIs, and what we are discussing is about the REST APIs. I'm not going into details of what REST API or the SOAP APIs are, but yeah, you can think of it like, okay, what is the request you have sent, what is the response you are getting, and also like maybe you want, okay, no, I want to make a transaction in my account. So you just went in, okay, and you debited some amount from your. So then that value needs to be decreased, right? Like if you have 100 rupees, you have made a transaction of 10 rupees. Now you are left with 90 rupees, no? So that value has to be decreased. So that is also done using an API that it will just go in and it will just change the value. So that's where these HTTP operation comes in very handy, and that's what it helps us to achieve. Now, if you want to create using an API, you have a method called post operation. That is like there is one corresponding operation for every. So for create we have post, for read we have get. Like if you just want to read some data, like maybe you are like, okay, I just want to see the details of my profile. So you'll just get profile details, and over there an API will go in and it will just get the data. Okay, it will not do anything else. Then you have maybe update. So and for update you have put and patch operations of HTTP, and then for delete you have delete. Okay, so these are just the operations which you need to understand in order to like move ahead with the API stuff of Okta. So guys, if in case you have any doubts, I would request you just read it, because like we cannot go in deep for the API topic. And if in case you find any difficulties, don't go and ahead and read much onto SOAP API. But if you have time and you can spend some time reading some documentation on API, then just go ahead and read about REST APIs, and you'll understand it in much better way. But for the time being, if you have understood this much, I think that will be more than enough for you to understand what we are going to do next. Okay. So any doubts before I move on to the Okta APIs? Okay.
I think we are.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So now next thing what I wanted to show you is like over here, please go to your Google and just type Okta Postman collection. I'll just ping this link on the group. I'm sorry, Dheeraj, I just saw your message. Is it like you're not, am I not audible to you? I mean, am I not audible? I was audible, right, to everyone apart from Dheeraj?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was in the beginning, but now I can hear you.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't check the chat, but like if you have missed anything and if something is not clear, just let me know, okay? Okay, yeah. So what I was talking was that you can just go ahead to this particular link what I have sent on the group, and just what we are going to do is that currently, see, we have different collections in Okta. Okay, so whatever you are doing through UI, over here, whatever you are doing through UI, it can be done through APIs in Okta. Okay, so like even if you want to integrate an application or do anything, no, you can do it either through this GUI, graphical user interface, or through APIs and Okta. Earlier it used to be like you can either do it through command line interface or graphical interface. Nowadays for IAM tools, you will mostly see that you can either use APIs to do it, or you can use GUI. Now GUI is something which we people understand in a much better way than APIs. And if in case we want to understand Okta in depth, so then everyone would say let's have a good understanding on the GUI first, and then once you are comfortable and understanding in everything on the GUI, then you can go ahead and do stuff with the APIs. But APIs comes in very handy and very strong when you have to do things in bulk. Now you have to add 100 users, so in those scenarios APIs will be very helpful. The reason being because you don't have to manually go in and do stuff over here. You can also do it through CSV, but like see, CSV is not recommended much. Like it's not a standard way or a recommended approach. So better if you guys do it using an API, that would be good. Also API gives you a lot of options also. We are just going to see for the Postman which CSP won't give you. Okay, so we'll just go in here, and over here if you just scroll down, in the end you'll see users collection. So like what is having is like they Okta is providing different APIs for all their functionalities, like for devices, domains, captchas, authorization servers, apps, API access management and stuff like that. So they are having different APIs for all their different functionalities. So currently we are just working with users. So this will cover people and group both. I think there is a group, yeah, there is a group API also. So we need to import this collection in our Postman. Okay. Now, if you do not have an account with Postman, that is fine. Or if you do not have it installed on your system, that is also fine. If you just go in here and click in run in Postman, right? So over here, it will just understand, like either you can do it for in web version. It will just open a new tab here on the same browser. And if in case you have an account with the Mac, I mean sorry, in your system, just open the Postman and it will just do it. I already have these imported on my system, so I won't do it again. But if you don't have it, just try to do it now, so that if in case there is any issue, we'll just try to resolve it together. I already have my account created here in Postman, so kind of I don't need to make a new account. I'm just logged in with my account. The only thing you can do is that if in case you want to create an account with Postman,
So
just go to.
I
Mhm.
created Postman web, sir. So I'm activated through email, and I'm able to see the corrections and these things. But I think we need to configure that. That's all.
Okay, yeah. So that's good. Like everyone else can do it. If in case you guys are able to do it, that's fine then. Okay. Anyone else also tried and they were able to get into? I mean, I hope Srinivas, you are able to see this thing like users of the API on your Postman.
Uh, no, sir. Like I go to collections. I don't see anything. Create a collection. That's what it's saying.
No, that's what, like if in case you do not have an account, that's what, like you can create a collection, but what we are trying to do here is like we are trying to bring in the collection from the already created. Like if you want to build it from scratch in Postman, it will take time. So what it will do is it will, because Okta has already created different templates. So we don't have to worry on the template part. We'll just import the templates in our Postman so that we don't have to write everything again. Okay, so that's why I'm saying just try to run it in Postman. Just go in and try to do it Postman for web or your system, and it will automatically import it. Like if you go to Postman for web, it will ask me in which workspace I have to do it. Okay, so I have my own workspace, and then I have to just import it. Once I import it, I'll be able to see it. So that's why I'm saying just try to have an account created on Postman.
Or
And
there are two workspaces, my workspace and team workspace. So
right. Just go ahead and do it in my workspace. I hope you're not using like Postman for other purpose. Like if it in case, I mean, if in case you are doing it, you can just also go ahead and create a new workspace on your Postman. You just if you go in
yeah,
over here in.
I done that, and I see that users Okta API and
Okay.
create users credential operations and all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That is all what we want. Like if you're able to see this thing right now, that's perfect. That's all what we want to see. So this is something if you are able to import, then it's perfect. Like I think we are all on track. But I mean I want others as well to try it, and please confirm that you are able to come to this point in your Postman UI. Be it on a Postman application or on the web, that doesn't matter. But you are able to come to this point is something that matters.
Yes, yes, I'm able to see those.
Okay. Anyone else also was able to come into here?
I'm able to see.
Perfect then. Okay, then if in case someone is not able to do it, then just let me know and we can just troubleshoot it quickly. But I think it's not very difficult to do it, and so yeah. So now if you come in here, no, I'll just try to help you understand some bit of what we will be doing here. If you, this is kind of a collection now. A collection is something consisting of a lot of API calls together. So it's kind of bundling all the API calls, grouping them, and then finally creating a template, and now you can just change your template accordingly. Okay. There's another concept of okay, if I go to create user, right, yeah, okay, so there's a concept of environment also. Okay, so currently I have so many environments with me. I am on my OKTA test domain, but you can just go ahead and create a your own domain, or your own environment. I would recommend to have your environment because it will save changes in that environment. So if in case you are not having any environment, you can just go ahead and create your own environment. Actually, the thing is, like, I'm having this thing which doesn't move, and that is the reason I'm not able to show you how to create an environment here in Postman. Okay, but the thing is, like, if you just go in here now,
I missed some part because when I'm trying to download the Postman for web,
hmm,
my laptop get shut down.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. The Postman for
Don't
web.
download, okay? Just use the web, Postman web.
Yeah. That's so I just click on that and my laptop get restarted.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Maybe some update on your system. That's why.
Sir, I am able to see this page, but how to create the environment? You mentioned you need to create. There is a no environment here.
Right, right. There would be an I button coming. Like this stuff is not
Yeah.
going from.
There is I button here. Click on I button. Environment, no active environment. You have to add environment, right?
Yes, that's what exactly. So you can just add a new environment from here, and once you can add it, then you'll be able to see it. So that's what it is. Okay, perfect then. So just try to add the environment also, as I mentioned. And just try to, like, if in case you do not have any environment, go to no environment, click on the edit, I mean this eye icon, and try to add an environment. You can give it any name for the
So
time
how
being.
to add the environment, sir? Like it is asking variable, and we can give some variable, or
No,
you
don't
need to
give
give some.
anything. Give anything. Maybe just like a demo environment. That will be it.
Okay.
So now if I go, okay, okay. Yeah, so just go in over here and set it as your active environment. It will be just, coming up as your active environment then. Okay. Were you guys able to do it? You were able to create your own environment. There are only two things which we need to create. One is the workspace and the other is the environment.
Yeah, I created demo environment.
Okay. I hope all are creating, like others are also following.
Yeah, and it is showing in the drop down. So I
Yeah,
selected demo environment.
yeah. Okay, so now see what is happening is like this Postman has nothing to do with Okta right now because Postman is a third party application not designed with Okta. I mean, Postman is an application designed to make API calls. And why are we using Postman? The reason why we are using Postman is because uh, from uh, from our we need to do these four operations, that is post, get, put, patch and delete. I mean, let's just consider them as four. Let's consider these two as one only for the time being. Okay, so because both are used for the update or the modify operation, so we need to use do four operations. And your browser, any browser, be it your Chrome or your IE or your Edge, they only allow get operations. They do not allow any other operations. You cannot do any other operations like post, put, patch or delete operation from your browser. Because for example, if I want to do a get operation, no, so I can just go in over here, maybe get user. Okay, if I just okay, I'll help you understand what does this mean. But for example, let's just talk me let's uh, I have a session created over here, so I'll just take this thing. Oh yeah, this thing maybe over here. I'm just making a get call. Get call. Okay, please understand that it's going to be a get call, and it will help me with the user details. And it's slash v1 slash API. This is nothing to do with Postman. I'm trying to help you understand why are we using Postman, because there are restrictions in the browser. So currently we are not doing anything with the Postman. We will be coming back to Postman soon. So now if I do users, okay, I'll just hit this. This is also an API of Okta. And since I have a session already created here on the browser with Okta, hence it will not ask me to authenticate. Now I hit on enter. Okay. Maybe some wrong. Okay. P. Yeah, okay. So this is an API call which I was trying to show you guys. Now this is my API. Okay, this is trying to get all the users whatever I have in Okta. Now this is in the JSON format because it's a REST API. So REST API works in JSON format. It will allow like the payload or the like whatever data will be coming or going would be in the JSON format. That is JavaScript object model. So it will be going in that JSON format. Now if I want to like you might not be understanding anything over here, but if I see, maybe I search my name, so I will get to see everything whatever I have. Yeah, okay. So for example, like first name is test, last name is user two, manager is my name, phone number I have given something, and I have around like 4 or 5 instances. Like this is my actual user. If I just move this thing, so this is my actual user, like first name, last name, mobile number, second. So for every user in Okta, it will give you all the attributes. Okay, and what happens is like since this is a browser and it will it can maximum give you only 200 user details like this. Currently you are seeing only 11 user details like this, but maximum it can only give you around 200. You cannot get more. And this is also a get operation. Why get? Because I'm just trying to read the users. Now I cannot do anything with these users from here. I can just see, okay, I have 11 users, or like, okay, there's a manager. Now tell me, like, is it easier to read through UI? This is exactly the same info what we are seeing here. This is exactly the same info. Whatever we are seeing here on the screen, right? This is exactly the same info what we are seeing here. Okay. Now maybe
So
I
you
just
got this one, sir? How you get this one? Whatever you are showing in the browser, right? Yeah, this one.
so yeah, I'll tell you that. Before I tell you that, I just want to show that this is like, a particular, this is again an API of Okta. This is a different API of Okta now. So I'll tell you how do we form an Okta API URL, but for the time being, think like this is the, I think, which user, I think Swamini's user. Yeah, Swamini's user. So I just try to find that, and I just use the Swamini's user ID profile, and over here I am able to see that, okay, this is the first name, last name, and then here it's helping me to understand that if I want to suspend the user, I need to do post, okay, because I need to suspend the user. So over here in Okta, what will we do? We'll just go in here, go to Swamini and more actions and suspend direct, right? Nothing to do. But over here we have to do a post operation. We cannot do it directly from browser. We cannot do it, and that's why this concept of postman came into existence, because it allows us to make API calls for all the HTTP operations, be it post, get, put, patch, delete, anything. So it allows us to make all the HTTP calls. So that's how it is. Now coming back to your question, how do I get this is something, it is like, the domain of your of where I'm holding all of this. So currently this is my domain. I mean, I am in on the admin screen, so that's why I see hyphen admin over here, but I do not have to use, because my domain is this only, dev hyphen this thing, and dev hyphen this thing .okta.com, and then this is the endpoint URL. Okay, so this is slash API slash v1 slash users slash. Now if you will hit it, you will also get it if in case you have a session with Okta. If in case you do not have a session with Okta, you need to authenticate yourself first. Now if I go in here maybe and try to hit it in incognito window, I won't be able to directly see it, or I might not be able to do anything. It will just give me an error. And why is it giving me an error? The reason being because it does not have a session with Okta. So how will it allow you to take data from Okta? So very important thing what we need to understand is, like, if we do not have a session with Okta, it will not allow us to take data from its tenant or from its database. So be it from the postman or from the browser, it's very necessary to have a session created with the tenant from which you are trying to get the data, put, patch, post, delete, whatever you are trying to do. It's very necessary that you make the session with it. So for the time being, I think we are well above the time for the today. So I would request you guys, please, if in case you guys have any doubts still here, let's go ahead. You can just go ahead and ask, and we'll stop our class here today. Tomorrow we'll just start with the postman topic only. We'll try to do some stuff directly from postman. Today we only saw some API stuff from the browser, and also you guys can go ahead and try to hit it and try to see all the values of for different users what
So
they have.
yeah, I tried whatever you URL you put it, right, sir. It says Okta 404 page not found.
I'm not sure. Actually, I also got that error. If you can maybe just refresh, or I'll just have you have a session created with my tenant, right?
Yes, yes, sir. So I got that, I pinged you the URL, right? So I got that, OUU from that Okta, and I added here and I done it. I pinged you, I texted you, right? Yeah, so can you see in the chart?
You are using something. Oh, okay. No, 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 no. You are using slash app. App is something you don't require. It should be API.
So it should be API. Okay,
Yeah.
right, sorry.
And V1 is the first version of this API. I mean, the latest version of this API. You have V2, V3, V4. I mean,
Yeah,
different
I
versions.
got it. I'm
Yeah.
able to see now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm able to
Perfect.
see this. Yeah.
So this is something in the JSON format. Like whenever you see these curly braces and stuff like that, no, just try to understand that this is coming in the JSON format. And See, this is not difficult also, although because when we were trying to see all user, no, like I'll just remove this thing for the timing and I'll just see. So now this becomes a big JSON payload. Now, if I just want to see for a particular user, I need to have the profile user ID for that user. So how do I get the user ID is I go to the particular user and this last thing is the user ID. So this can be used to get it or, like view any user. So that's why I just entered it over here. I can just go ahead and do it for another user also, maybe this user Sukanya.
Yeah,
So
I think we got it, sir. Those part I got it. So
yeah, so exactly. So now the name and stuff like that changes. So I can, see the user details by their user ID. So this becomes very important. We are going to see how do we do it in Okta. We are, going to bulk upload users in Okta group, and like we'll have users in CSV. We'll read users from CSV, do it, get their user ID and do it in, and we'll add those users in the Okta group. So this would be a good postman operation, including a lab session, including both people and group. But before that, I would request you that just try to get some gist of what APIs are, and if in case you have understood today's class completely, I think that will be more than enough. Like if you get the recording today, just go through it again. If you want to read some content on APIs or Okta APIs, just go ahead and do it. But I think like I didn't try to cover a lot of things on API because API topic is vast in itself. We cannot cover that, but what I try to cover is something which is required for you to understand to do stuff in Okta. So just try to limit yourself for the time being. If you are interested to read more on API, that's very good, just go ahead and do it. But if you are thinking like it will get more confusing, just try to restrict yourself to the amount of stuff I have told you, and with that you'll be able to understand everything we'll be doing tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, like that's it from my end today. And if you guys have anything before we close off, we can discuss now.
Can you show me how to create workspace in
Yeah.
Postman?
Yeah. So if you go into the to your Postman, right? So over here in Workspace, you will get the option of new workspace. So you can just go ahead and give any name, and like it can be a personal team or a public. It doesn't matter for you right now because you are not working on a project on this Postman. So you can give it as team. I mean, just leave the default values, just give it a name and create it.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you have created, it will be showing you in your recently visited or in your workspaces. You can just go ahead and like enter your workspace, and that's where you'll find this stuff, whatever we were trying to do. Although we haven't done, but yeah, I mean, with Postman, just make sure that you are having your environment and workspace created for tomorrow, and the users Okta collection, API collection should be there in your Postman. Okay, guys, anything else apart from that?
thank you, sir.
Okay, then. Have a good one. Take care and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.